Okay, so today basically what I'm going to go over is how to take a 2D logo um, and turn it into a three-dimensional logo. So um, right now I've got this logo here in Photoshop. So what I'm going to show you too is this is really easy to do if you already have these in a vector. But if you have this as a raster image to begin with, the 2D raster image from Photoshop or whatever you're given, say a client gives you just some JPEG garbage, that is basically unusable. I'm going to show you how to take that raster image and turn it into a vector image so that you can import that vector into Cinema 4D. So anyway, we've got this Photoshop file, and we'll just save it to somewhere better than where I have it now. Okay. Alright. So that's saved. And now we're gonna, no, not InDesign. Illustrator. And wait for it to load all day long. Okay, now Illustrator's open. So we're going to maybe open the file that we just saved, your Photoshop file, and honestly I prefer this to be flattened into a single image for what we're about to do. So we've got our 2D Photoshop image raster graphic in here, and we need to make it a vector now. So what we will do is go up here to, well, first we'll select it. There we go. And you'll see there's an image trace button that comes up here. There's also a drop down here that will give you these kind of preset defaults, but I'm going to show you a way to get a little more control over it. So we're going to go to Window and Image Trace. Where's it at? There it is. Okay, so now you have your dialog box up here for Image Trace, which is going to basically help you auto draw the vector for this raster graphic for this image. This does have colors, of course. I'm just going to start with a high fidelity photo. It might not be necessary. You might only need to use something like 16 colors or 3 colors or 6 colors, especially for this, since there aren't quite as many colors. So much duplication. And we'll just wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. Okay, so now it's essentially drawn a path here already, and if you're lucky like me, it will look really nice and really smooth and look really great. Or if you're unlucky, which happens a lot, so don't worry about it if you are, then what I'd suggest doing is dropping down this advanced bar here and just playing around with the paths. You know how if you bring this paths slider up higher, it's going to give you a larger amount of paths when it draws it. This is going to give you more corners, like hard edges, rather than curves for your paths at their endpoints. And noise, is going to do exactly what it says, basically reduce noise by ignoring areas of specific pixel size. So it's kind of difficult to explain, honestly. But anyway, so now we've got our path, and it's traced our image. So what we're going to do next is expand it once it looks pretty good. And when you expand it, you're going to get all these paths. Basically, you're going to get all these lines. And what we'll want to do is deselect the image and kind of just take a look and see what's necessary, what's not necessary, that kind of stuff. So we'll drop this down and take a look at what we've got. The first thing that normally happens with a raster image is all the way down here at the bottom. You're going to have this path that is basically just the white along the outside because it's a raster image. And you can just delete that. It'll go away, and now you more or less have an alpha channel for the background. Well, you do have an alpha channel for the background now. Let me see. Okay, there's nothing in there. So the next thing that I like to do once I get to this point is I like to grab all of the things that will be a similar color, basically, because when we put this in Cinema 4D, if we don't have everything of similar color or similar shape or whatever grouped, then it's going to be pretty much impossible to single them out and put the appropriate colors on them that you want to see here. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab the paths that I want. Let's see, I think that's pretty much all these here. Oh, okay, of course I accidentally hit Control instead of Shift. Yeah, okay. Just go through the selections, make sure we've got everything we want. I always double check, because sometimes you think you've got what you want and there's some random junk just stuck in there. Okay, so then we'll group these. What I did to make a group is hit Control G. It's not tough, don't worry, I promise. Okay. Alright, so we've got those paths together in this group, and we will call these, what is this? This is like a maze or something. I don't know. Inside white. Grass. I think it's just grass. Who knows? Okay, now we see we've got like a bajillion pieces up here, which you could clean up. I don't think I'm going to clean them up. I can see the colors that they are. So we'll just grab them piece by piece and put them where they belong. So, alright. So we can see that, yeah, okay. This is these brown layers down here on the bottom. And we'll create a group for them. I'll call it bottom half or piece. It's definitely not half. And let's see, we'll take a look at that. Okay, that's what I figured it would be. That is basically junk, and you're gonna run into these junk paths. And let me see, and you lose nothing by deleting them. So it's important to kind of take a look at everything that you're going to be importing. Like we've got another junk piece here, probably another one here and here and here. Yeah. So Illustrator's gonna do this, you know. It's a great automated tool, but ultimately it's gonna give you a whole bunch of junk you don't really need. See? Just worthless paths that when you take it into Cinema 4D are really going to mess up your end result. Okay, this is probably junk too. Let me see. Oop. I didn't want to get rid of that. Yeah, that's... Yeah, that's a junk path. This is most likely also a junk path. I might end up just, you know, getting rid of this part of the video. I don't know. We'll see. And that's important. Let's see what this guy is. That's of course important. That's important. Junk. Junk. So as you can see, it could be kind of a tedious process just figuring out if there's even anything in any of this that's worth your time. But once you get all these pieces figured out, whenever you import it, it's going to be a lot easier. So as awful as this seems, it's really worth it in the end. You know, if you want to do this stuff for anything other than a logo, I would have to say in 90% of the cases I wouldn't suggest it. If you're you know, I honestly don't know why else you would do this, but I'm just gonna let you know now. It's, if you have another idea in mind for this, it's probably not gonna work. And you see, yeah, for me, obviously some of these paths, like the big weird lines, are kind of getting rid of some of the detail here. But it's not going to be a problem whenever we put it into Cinema 4D, for what, at least for what I'm doing. Okay, so that path ended up breaking like everything. But again, I don't think that's going to be a problem. No, it won't be a problem. Alright. Checking everything out. Making sure it's all good. All junk. Chances are, oh, what, does that even exist? Okay, it's down there. Yeah, the rest of this is probably just going to be nothing. But okay. That's why I always check, because that one is somewhat important. Okay, I'll put that in the bottom piece. Another thing you might want to consider if you're doing this is if you can get your hands on a copy of whatever it is you're making that doesn't have these kind of gradients on the edges of them, that would be better, because I mean, ultimately in Cinema 4D you're going to just take that back and create your own gradient, but if you have the gradient in there to begin with, Illustrator draws all this junk. So if you can get it without the gradient, then that's better, but in my case for this particular project, I do not have one with no gradient, so I'm just going to work with what I was given. Alright. Okay. I'm just going to start getting rid of stuff really quickly here, because there's way too many paths and pretty much all of them are garbage. I need to put that in. I'm going to put these 4 paths in a group. Actually, I need to see. Is this the same as this? This encompasses that. Okay, so I don't need this. Don't need this. Still need that. Still need this. So we'll group it and call this top half. Okay. We'll just grab pretty much everything down to a point and see if that, yeah, not a big deal. And we'll see how much junk we can get rid of. Maybe I'll speed this part up or something. Or maybe I'll just be lazy and you guys can speed it up. We'll see. No promises. Okay. Okay, and this is the path that is the one that's really truly in charge here. So where was this first path? That one can go in the trash now. And dun, 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 dun. This would probably go all in the trash. Yes. Okay. Okay, we'll see what this does. Nothing. Yep. Nothing. Alright. Let's see which one is biggest here. Smaller, smallest. Small. Okay, so it looks like that one that I just found is the biggest one at this moment. Okay, all of our edges are still intact. Yep. Okay, that might be worth keeping. I think this one is bigger than this guy. Let's see. Yep. We want all those. It's junk. Okay. Now we get to the end here to get. Let's see. Okay. This is technically in the top half. Okay. All right. So sometimes this happens where really all you needed was these bottom three, and I should have checked here first. But it has been a while since I've done this, so sorry about that. Okay, so we got that. What is in here in this top half here? We can get rid of you, and we can get rid of you, and now we have a really, really clean vector that we can import in. So what we need to do at this point is put things that are similar together, because that's going to help us when we get in there. So as I've already been doing, top half yellow maybe, okay, inside white, grass, path here, which one is this? Okay, so we want that separate, this separate. Okay, so we want these two together because they are kind of our outline here. They reside behind everything. Right. We will want to group them. Okay. What have I done to make this not group? Okay, well that's fine. I'll leave these how they are and we'll import it this way. Let's see, one last time. No, nothing. Okay, so at this point what we want to do is save as, and we'll want to save it as an Illustrator file, of course. And what you want to make sure you do is change this to Illustrator 8 always, or else C4d won't accept it. Hit OK, OK again, and the next thing we'll want to do is open up C4d, of course. Someday it'll open. Just like someday this tutorial will be over. I promise. And hopefully I don't mess up halfway through here anywhere. Okay, so now we've got Cinema 4D open. So now we're right at our last step. So what we'll want to do is do File, Merge Objects up here in this area. You don't want to import this like you would normally do for 3D files or something. So we'll get the Illustrator file here and open it up. Okay, and what we'll want to do is group them. Yeah. Okay, so we've got our groups intact that we had before. I hope. And it's going to offset your logo a lot from the center. It always does it. I'm not sure why, but it always does it. Okay, so let's just make sure we have the paths correct. Okay, so this group is that pathway. Okay. These two can be grouped together, so we can... Oh, why am I forgetting how to group things in Cinema 4D? Okay, so we can group these two together and call this top yellow, and okay, what is path 1 picking up? This needs to be pulled out and have be its own thing. This can be the grass outline. Huh, did it pull the whole thing in? Yeah, it did. That's fine. I just have to find this path. Where did it go? Okay. Pull this guy out. He needs to be his own thing too. This guy needs to be his own thing. And this guy needs to be his own thing. Okay. So these, okay, that's where that is. Yeah, that's where that is. Okay, I'll deal with that in just a moment. So these two need to be grouped. Oh, okay, good. No, I did that same hotkey last time. It didn't work. Alt-G is the way to hotkey a grouping. This is going to be the background brown outline. This is going to be bottom piece. And now the piece that I was confused about, this guy. Okay, so that needs to be a different color than the inside. So these need to be all grouped together as grass white inside, and grass outline actually works for that. This is worthless now. This is basically just a null, empty null. And okay, now we have everything we need separated out, and it all looks really good. And we will just group everything together. I guess I could have put that back into that null. And we'll just call this our logo. Okay, so first thing, we'll want to put our logo back to the 0 position. And it's you'll notice if you zero it out, it's not going to do anything. So we'll just move it as close as we can. You know, it's not critical that this happens, but I like to get it as close to the center as I possibly can. And I'm also going to adjust my axis so that it's in the middle, because it always will start on that left edge. Again, I'm not really sure why it does that, but it does. Okay, so that looks good. So the next thing we're going to do is extrude them. The way to extrude them is go to Extrude up here. You're just going to click this, go to Extrude. Drop this down, and we're going to do an extrusion for each of these. We'll drop the extrusion in here. Top yellow, we'll put it in here. And the thing you're going to see is basically nothing's going to happen. And that's because top yellow is multiple paths, right? Path 25, 26, whatever. Okay, so what Extrude does by default is it's assuming there's only one path and you have multiple. So what you have to do to make sure that multiple paths will extrude is click this hierarchical button, and now you have extrusions and on both paths. So here's path 1 and the rest of it is path 2. Okay, so that's taken care of. Now we will go to the grass outline, and we're going to do the exact same thing. So we'll just get another extrude, and while we're here, we'll just duplicate. How many do we need? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll just hold Control and do 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now we are going to drop this down in here, put the grass outline in it, and you'll notice you don't need to click hierarchical for that because it's only one path. And we will drop this extrude down here. Yeah, almost. Drop this in, and this time definitely make sure we click hierarchical. And drop this guy down here, and drop him in. And this guy is a hierarchy as well. Don't get freaked out by, you know, everything being one big slab. It'll get fixed. Don't you worry. And there we go. Alright, so we'll rename these as well, because it's never good to not name your stuff. And grass outline and top yellow. All right, now everything's set up. Okay, everything's looking great so far, or you know, looking gray and boring. Okay, so what we'll need to do, of course, to separate these out is several things. First, we'll want to add extrusions where they seem appropriate, you know, layer the 3D objects, and then of course we'll want to create some textures. So I think the first thing that I'm going to do is create the textures, because that'll give me a little bit easier of a time figuring out where everything else goes. So we'll want to, of course, refer back to our Illustrator. So we have this yellow going on here, and let's see, we'll double click there. Let me get rid of that guy, get him up there, him up here. Okay, now we'll double click down here to create a new material, and then we'll double click the color here to get up the color picker, and then we'll do choose screen color. Okay, and over here we'll click the screen color and hit alright, and now we've got the exact same color that we had here over here. Now obviously it won't be exactly the same because of the specular. If you needed it to be exactly the same, for some reason you were making a 3D object, maybe for some motion graphics, and you wanted it to still look 2D, for that what you'd want to do is get rid of color, get rid of specular, turn on luminance, and do the exact same thing. So for demonstration purposes here. If you wanted this to still look 2D and choose the screen color, then you would do that. And you see how this looks really flat now. It looks 2D. It doesn't look like a 3D material. And that's kind of how you get that 2D feel for a 3D object, at least here in Cinema 4D. But we don't want that. We want all of this. So we're going to drag and drop that onto our extrusion here, and it's going to look real crazy, but don't freak out. It'll be okay. Just pull it out a little, and boom. Hey, all you had there was just intersecting surfaces, and Cinema 4D didn't know how to display that to you. Okay, so the next thing we're going to want to do is get the rest of the colors, of course. So we'll do the exact same thing as before. Choose the screen color. Hit OK. And which one is that one? Grass outline. Okay. And we'll probably want this guy. No, not you. This guy to come up as well. Looking good. I like it. And then we will want, I guess the grass color is basically the exact same color as its bottom. So we'll pull that out. And we'll want to get this more precise, but I'm just showing you, for example, how this works. Then we'll get the inside color here. It's actually pure white. No, almost never is. We'll drop it in here, and you can't see it, but just wait for it. There it is. Okay, there we go. And the last one we have is this outline color. So let's grab it. And okay, and we will drag and drop it onto the outline. And there you go. You can see. We've got the outline there. You can see the outline behind everything, just where it was before. Okay, so that looks really, really good. So what do you do next? Well, if you want that gradient stuff back on there, then you can always add it. You can use a texture, and you can add a gradient. And of course, you have to set that up. So you would just double click here, double click there, and then we'd go back to our Photoshop file from a decade ago, and we would choose this color near the edge here for the first one, and we would choose this color here, and this appears to be more of a radial. So we would do a radial one, maybe a spherical. No. Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. And I'm completely off track now. I'm getting lost in my work. I like that a lot better than the previous one too. I think I'm actually going to try this and see if I'm told to never do their work again, or if they'll say great job, this looks cooler. We'll see. I'll make another version after this, but I like this, so I'm going to stick with it. And we'll do the same for this one too, to keep it uniform. Okay. Okay. Spherical. Okay, cool. And if you want these lines, like, if you're ever in a situation like me where this is have two separate pieces that aren't related, but you want them to line up, you can change around these start and end points and, you know, get them to line up. Maybe, if you're lucky. Okay. Wrong direction. Oh my gosh, Matt. You did 50. Definitely centimeters. And that's too far, so we'll go to -10. Okay, that looks better. Could be better, but we'll stick with that for now, because this is a tutorial and I'm taking way too long in it. Alright, so we've got our pieces, and everything's looking good. But say you want this to turn around and you want the logo to still be there. You know, all you have to do here for that is you can click on your piece here, top yellow, for me, and you can just extrude it even farther. See? And now you've got that on the back there, and you can do the same thing for the grass outline. Of course, I'm extruding it backwards. And there we go. Now the grass outline's back there, and grass inside white. That far. There we go. And we'll do the same for the bottom piece. Okay. Now we got it all set up in here. And I know this isn't really part of the tutorial, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm already in this and I need to finish this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how to light this and set it up for a really nice high quality render. So basically what we're going to do, the trick I like to use, I found, you know, someone else taught me. But first thing you'll want to do to get a really nice render to show whoever it is you're showing this to is you go to Effects and put it on Ambient Occlusion. I always suggest putting on Ambient Occlusion. I think it makes everything look much nicer because the shadowing is a lot more realistic. Then I'd go to Anti-Aliasing and put that on Best, and you might want to up these. I'm not going to for this. The last thing you want to do is, you know, set it up for the size. Actually, this might be the first thing you want to do, honestly, before you even start anything, but it's fine for me. I'm going to render this out as a PNG, 16 bits. I'm going to render it out to my desktop as demo. Here's your image. Okay. And the last thing I'm going to do is put on global illumination. I think it makes things look just a little bit nicer. I know it's not really necessary for this, but I really like things to look really good. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to take these spotlights. I don't think anything looks good rendered without light. I mean, really, nothing does look good rendered without light in 3D space. So what we're going to do is, not up the intensity. We're going to kind of create a 3-point lighting system here. And add some reflections. Okay, so we have our main spotlight here, and from here I wouldn't move this anymore. What I would do is I always go up here, get a null, and drop the light in the null, and then the null, as you can see, is on the center axis, and it makes it a lot easier for rotations and stuff. So I'm going to rotate this just a little bit, and I'm going to get that null duplicated and move it it back here. And I will back this up a little. And maybe a little more. And then I'm going to duplicate it one more time. And you know, you can do this from anywhere. At this point, you know, there are standards for 3-point lighting, but I'm going to break it here, and I'm going to do what is I would say typically done, I guess. I'm going to kind of go underneath. Obviously, it's a little different than normal, but I like this feel for logos. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to do, like I said, is add a reflection. So what we do is we bring in a plane here, and then we're going to make a new texture, and the texture is just going to be luminous. Okay, so basically what we have is just a reflector, like if you were shooting actual film or something. And you're going to pull this out, pull it over. Where you position this is totally up to you, of course. I'm just experimenting at this point. So now you got this reflector, but if you rendered it, this reflector would be blocking, you know. It would be blocking your logo. It wouldn't be helpful. So what you want to do here is right-click on your plane or your reflector, and you go down to Cinema 4D. It'd be in Cinema 4D text, compositing, and you want to make sure that it is not seen by the camera, and now you won't have that problem. And if you don't want to see it while you're working anymore, just click that, and it's all gone. Okay, so now let's render this guy out, check him out, see what he looks like. Okay, so for me, not as 3D as I want it to look. So I would, of course, probably move one of these lights a little closer. Maybe drop this one underneath it too, a little. Oops. Maybe turn down the intensity of this front light. There you go. For the plane, I think I'm going to want it to be a little bit lower, and forgot if you all cheese. Just gonna put the put the axis in the wrong place. Okay, let's give this another shot here. Let's see what we'll get. Maybe, hopefully, a little bit better. centered, but better. Well, of course, there's lots of other things we could do here to make this look a little better, but I think that the point has got across how you get this stuff, and the rest of the making this fancy, I will do on my own time. So you guys, I hope you've learned something. I hope this was helpful in some way. And I will, just if you have any questions, ask them. I'm happy to answer them, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.